In the journey of life, there are moments that test us, challenge us, and make us question how much more we can endure. And yet, it is in these moments that we have the opportunity to redefine ourselves, to rise stronger than before. The truth is, we all face struggles, some small, some enormous, but what truly defines us is not the obstacles we encounter, but how we respond to them. Resilience is often misunderstood. We tend to think of it as an unwavering strength, an unshakable fortress that stands tall no matter the storm. We envision resilient people as those who never falter, never show weakness, and always move forward without hesitation. But the truth about resilience is more complex. It is not about being immune to pain or never feeling vulnerable. Rather, it is about how we respond when pain strikes, how we show up for ourselves even when we are shaken, and how we continue to move forward with an open heart, despite our fears and uncertainties. Resilience, at its core, is rooted in self-compassion and vulnerability. These are the building blocks that allow us to endure, recover, and ultimately grow stronger from our experiences. Self-compassion is the ability to treat ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and care that we would offer a friend or loved one in moments of hardship. When we face challenges, it's easy to become our harshest critics. We berate ourselves for not being strong enough, for making mistakes, for not handling things better. This inner dialogue only amplifies our suffering and prevents us from moving forward with the grace and self-awareness that true resilience requires. Instead of offering ourselves compassion, we often add to our burden by holding ourselves to unattainable standards. But resilience isn't about perfection. It's about accepting our imperfections and showing ourselves kindness in spite of them. When we can recognize that we are doing our best, even when we fall short, we begin to give ourselves permission to be human. This shift in mindset is liberating. Instead of adding shame or guilt to our struggles, we replace it with understanding and patience. We give ourselves room to breathe, to process, and to heal. Self-compassion doesn't mean we excuse our mistakes or choose to ignore areas of growth. Rather, it means that we acknowledge our flaws without judgment. We give ourselves the space to learn from those moments, to reflect on what we can do differently next time, and then to move forward with the understanding that we are always evolving. We are not defined by our failures or our missteps. We are defined by our willingness to face them, to learn from them, and to continue to show up, even when the road is difficult. Vulnerability plays a crucial role in this process. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, a state in which we expose ourselves to hurt or failure. But in reality, vulnerability is one of the most courageous acts we can embrace. To be vulnerable is to be open to the possibility of pain, but it also means being open to the possibility of growth, connection, and transformation. It's the willingness to say, I don't have all the answers, or I'm struggling right now, and to allow ourselves to be seen in our most raw and imperfect state. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we open the door to real connection. We allow others to see us for who we truly are, not just the polished, put-together version we often present to the world. Vulnerability fosters deeper, more authentic relationships. It's through our shared struggles and vulnerabilities that we find common ground and create bonds that strengthen us. Instead of isolating ourselves in our moments of weakness, vulnerability invites us to reach out, to lean on others, and to ask for the support we need. It reminds us that we are not alone in our challenges, that there are others who understand, who care, and who are willing to walk with us through difficult times. Resilience, then, is not about pretending to be invincible. It's about embracing the full spectrum of our humanity, the highs and the lows, the triumphs and the failures, the moments of strength and the moments of weakness. It's about learning to navigate the complexities of life with grace and self-compassion, knowing that every challenge is an opportunity to deepen our understanding of ourselves and our capacity to endure. When we cultivate self-compassion, we give ourselves permission to experience life as it is. Without the pressure to constantly be strong or perfect, we learn to sit with discomfort, to acknowledge our emotions, and to respond with kindness rather than criticism. This doesn't mean we become passive or resigned to our circumstances. It means we acknowledge the pain and difficulty we're experiencing, and we choose to meet it with care and understanding. In the same way, vulnerability allows us to show up as our authentic selves. It helps us move past the fear of judgment or failure and embrace the uncertainty of life. Vulnerability doesn't weaken us, it strengthens us. It allows us to face challenges with openness and courage, to ask for help when we need it, and to lean into the discomfort of growth and change. Resilience, therefore, is not just about bouncing back from adversity. It is about showing up for ourselves in the hardest moments, offering ourselves compassion, and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable in the process. There is a paradox in resilience. In a world that often values strength and independence, we are sometimes led to believe that true resilience means never needing help, never admitting our struggles, and never showing weakness. But the reality is that resilience thrives in an environment of self-compassion and vulnerability. It is when we acknowledge our humanity, our flaws, our mistakes, and our vulnerabilities that we give ourselves the space to truly heal and grow. It is in the acceptance of our imperfections that our strength is forged. As we navigate life's challenges, it is essential to remember that resilience is not a destination. It is a journey, one that requires patience, understanding, and self-love. It is a continuous process of learning how to face difficulties with an open heart, to show up even when we feel uncertain, and to allow ourselves the grace to stumble without judging ourselves too harshly. Every time we choose compassion over criticism, vulnerability over defensiveness, we build a foundation of resilience that will carry us through the toughest of times. This kind of resilience is not about being perfect. It's about embracing the reality that life is messy, that we are human, and that it is through our vulnerabilities and imperfections that we find our true strength. In doing so, we not only strengthen ourselves, but we also inspire others to do the same. When we show up with compassion and vulnerability, we model what it means to be resilient, not in spite of our struggles, but because of them. Mental strength is often viewed as an innate quality, something that some people just have, while others don't. It's easy to look at those who seem unshakable in the face of adversity and think, I could never be like that. But mental strength isn't a fixed trait, it's a skill that can be developed over time. It's built through the daily choices we make, the habits we form, and the mindset we cultivate. Every moment we choose to persevere, to stay grounded, and to act despite fear or doubt, we are strengthening our mental resilience. Mental strength isn't about being fearless. It's not about never feeling vulnerable, overwhelmed, or scared. Rather, it's about learning how to move forward in spite of those feelings. It's about showing up, even when we don't feel ready, and continuing to put one foot in front of the other, even when we can't see the full path ahead. This kind of strength comes from building a mindset that embraces challenges rather than avoiding them. It means seeing every obstacle as an opportunity to grow and recognizing that discomfort is a natural part of the process. The foundation of mental strength lies in our ability to make choices that serve us, even when those choices are difficult. It's easy to take the path of least resistance, to avoid difficult conversations, to procrastinate, or to withdraw when things get tough. But these short-term comforts often lead to long-term stagnation. Mental strength, on the other hand, is about consistently choosing the harder, but ultimately more rewarding path. It's about making decisions that align with our values, even when it's uncomfortable, and staying committed to those decisions despite external pressures or internal doubts. One key aspect of developing mental strength is learning how to manage our thoughts. Our minds are incredibly powerful, and the way we think about ourselves and our circumstances shapes our ability to persevere. Negative thoughts, self-doubt, and fear can be overwhelming, but they don't have to dictate our actions. By becoming more aware of our inner dialogue and practicing self-awareness, we can begin to challenge these thoughts and replace them with more empowering, positive ones. This doesn't mean we ignore our fears or pretend they don't exist, but rather that we acknowledge them and then choose to move forward anyway. Another important aspect of mental strength is the ability to stay focused and disciplined in the face of distractions or setbacks. Life is full of challenges that can derail our progress, unexpected changes, setbacks, and failures. But mental strength means not allowing these obstacles to break our resolve. Instead of giving up, we adapt, find alternative solutions, and remain focused on our long-term goals. This level of discipline doesn't come easily. It requires practice and consistency. It's about showing up every day, even when we don't feel like it, and trusting that our efforts will pay off in the end. Finally, mental strength is about having a growth mindset. This means seeing failure not as a reflection of our abilities, but as a stepping stone to success. We all face setbacks, but they don't define us. Instead, they offer valuable lessons that can help us grow and improve. By embracing this mindset, we can turn challenges into opportunities for learning and growth rather than allowing them to defeat us. It's about choosing to see obstacles as temporary, knowing that they don't determine our ultimate success. The key to mental strength is that it's something we can actively develop every single day. It's not a matter of being born with it, it's a matter of practicing it. The more we make choices that align with our goals and values, the stronger our mental resilience becomes. It's the consistency of showing up, even when it's hard, that eventually leads to true mental strength. Embracing imperfection is one of the most powerful and freeing steps we can take in building resilience and mental strength. It is often said that perfection is an unattainable ideal, yet so many of us strive for it relentlessly, believing that only when we achieve perfection will we be worthy, successful, or enough. This desire for perfection can weigh us down, hold us back, and even paralyze us. We can become so consumed by the idea of being flawless that we forget the richness and depth that comes from simply being human. Embracing imperfection, on the other hand, is not about settling for mediocrity or abandoning our ambitions. It is about letting go of the unrealistic standards we place on ourselves and finding freedom in the beauty of our flaws, mistakes, and vulnerabilities. When we constantly chase perfection, we place ourselves in an impossible position. Perfection requires control, and control is something we can never fully have. Life is messy, unpredictable, and full of uncertainties. No matter how much we try to plan, no matter how much we try to make everything just right, there will always be things outside our control. Our circumstances will change, people will let us down, and sometimes we will simply fail. Perfection, in this sense, is a mirage, something that seems just within reach but can never be fully attained. When we pursue it, we often end up frustrated, disappointed, and disconnected from the reality of our own lives. Embracing imperfection means accepting that mistakes are an inevitable part of the human experience. Far from being something to fear or avoid, mistakes are opportunities for learning and growth. Each time we stumble, we are given the chance to reflect, adjust, and move forward with greater wisdom. When we embrace our imperfections, we open ourselves to this process of continuous learning. We stop seeing ourselves as failures when we fall short, and instead begin to view our mistakes as teachers. In doing so, we shift our focus from the outcome to the process, realizing that the journey itself is just as important as the destination. Another aspect of embracing imperfection is the ability to let go of the need for external validation. For many of us, the desire to be perfect is rooted in a need for approval from others. We want to be seen as competent, successful, and capable, not only for our own sake, but to gain acceptance or admiration from those around us. But when we tie our worth to the approval of others, we become dependent on factors that are outside of our control. No matter how hard we try to meet others' expectations, there will always be people who don't understand us, who judge us, or who fail to see our value. Embracing imperfection allows us to break free from this cycle. It helps us reconnect with our inner sense of self-worth, independent of others' opinions. We learn that we are enough as we are, flaws and all, and that our value doesn't come from perfection, but from our authenticity and our willingness to show up, even when we're not at our best. Letting go of the need to be perfect also allows us to be more compassionate with ourselves. We can be our harshest critics, holding ourselves to standards that we would never impose on anyone else. This self-criticism can create a cycle of shame, doubt, and fear that holds us back from taking risks, trying new things, or fully engaging with life. When we embrace imperfection, we create space for self-compassion. We recognize that we, too, deserve the same kindness and understanding we offer others. We learn to acknowledge our mistakes without berating ourselves, to forgive ourselves for the times we fall short, and to keep moving forward with a sense of grace and patience. One of the most profound aspects of embracing imperfection is the freedom it brings. When we let go of the pressure to be perfect, we free ourselves from the constant anxiety and stress that comes with trying to measure up. We are no longer weighed down by unrealistic expectations or the fear of making mistakes. Instead, we begin to approach life with a sense of openness and curiosity. We give ourselves permission to experiment, to try new things, and to be fully present in the experience without worrying about the outcome. This freedom allows us to be more creative, more adaptable, and more resilient. We can take risks, knowing that even if we fail, we are capable of learning and growing from the experience. Embracing imperfection also deepens our connections with others. In a world that often values perfection, we can sometimes feel isolated or disconnected, as though we are the only ones who struggle or fall short. But when we embrace our imperfections, we invite others to do the same. We create an environment where vulnerability is celebrated, not judged. When we show our true selves, flaws and all, we encourage others to be real with us too. This fosters deeper, more meaningful relationships based on authenticity and mutual understanding. We no longer feel the need to hide our mistakes or present a false image of ourselves. Instead, we show up as we are, knowing that we are worthy of love and connection just as we are, imperfections included. Perfectionism can also rob us of the joy in our lives. When we are constantly focused on achieving an ideal, we miss the beauty in the small, imperfect moments that make life worth living. The messy, unplanned moments are often the ones that hold the most meaning: the spontaneous laughter with friends, the quiet moments of reflection, the times when things don't go according to plan but turn out even better. When we embrace imperfection, we open ourselves to these moments. We stop waiting for everything to be just right and instead learn to appreciate life in its fullness, imperfections and all. Ultimately, embracing imperfection is about accepting ourselves as we are and recognizing that our flaws and struggles are an essential part of who we are. They do not diminish our value or our worth, they make us human. It is through our imperfections that we learn, grow, and become more resilient. Rather than seeing our mistakes as failures, we begin to see them as integral parts of our personal journeys, each one contributing to the person we are becoming. When we embrace imperfection, we give ourselves the freedom to live fully, to take risks, and to be authentic in every aspect of our lives. We stop striving for an unattainable ideal and start celebrating the messy, beautiful, imperfect reality of being human. Connection is one of the most powerful forces in building resilience and mental strength. As human beings, we are wired for connection. It's an intrinsic part of who we are. The relationships we form with others not only provide us with comfort, joy, and companionship, but they also play a crucial role in how we navigate life's challenges. In difficult times, our connections with others can be the very thing that helps us hold on and keep going when everything else feels uncertain. There is immense power in leaning on others, sharing our struggles, and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. Through connection, we find not only strength but also a sense of belonging and support that makes us more resilient. When we face hardships, it can be tempting to retreat into ourselves, to isolate, and to bear our burdens alone. We may feel ashamed of our struggles or believe that reaching out for help will make us appear weak. But in reality, isolation often magnifies our pain and makes it harder to see a way forward. When we allow ourselves to connect with others, whether it's friends, family, colleagues, or even strangers, we begin to realize that we are not alone in our struggles. There is a shared humanity in the pain we experience, and in reaching out, we create opportunities for mutual support and healing. Connection doesn't always mean finding immediate solutions or fixing everything. Sometimes, what we need most is simply someone who will listen, someone who will hold space for us without judgment. It's in these moments of listening, empathy, and understanding that we can find the strength to move forward. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with others, we create deeper, more meaningful relationships. We let go of the facade of having it all together and show up as we truly are: messy, imperfect, and human. This vulnerability fosters trust, which is essential for building strong, resilient bonds. Moreover, connecting with others helps us gain perspective. When we are deep in the midst of a challenge, it can be difficult to see beyond the immediate stress or pain. But through conversations and shared experiences, we often discover that others have faced similar struggles, and their stories can provide both comfort and insight. In this way, connection helps us broaden our view, allowing us to see that there is life beyond the current difficulty and that we have the capacity to overcome it. The support we receive from others also serves to remind us of our own strength. When we lean on someone, they often remind us of our resilience, of the qualities and abilities we may have forgotten about ourselves in the midst of hardship. Their encouragement can help us find the courage to keep going, even when we feel like giving up. It's a reminder that we are capable of more than we sometimes believe, and that we don't have to face life's challenges alone. Connection also offers a sense of accountability. When we share our goals, struggles, and progress with others, we create a network of support that holds us accountable to ourselves and our intentions. This accountability can help us stay committed to our growth, even when the journey gets tough. Knowing that someone else cares about our progress gives us the motivation to keep going, to show up for ourselves, even when we might otherwise want to give in to despair. Ultimately, connection is not just about receiving support, it's about giving it as well. The act of offering support to others strengthens our own resilience. When we reach out to others, whether through a kind word, a listening ear, or a helping hand, we reinforce the sense of belonging that connects us all. We remind ourselves that we are part of a larger whole, that our actions can make a difference, and that we are never truly alone. In these acts of connection, we find not only the strength to navigate our own challenges, but also the opportunity to help others through theirs. This reciprocal relationship of support and care enriches both the giver and the receiver, creating a cycle of resilience that strengthens us all.